and gentlemen, welcome back to Inside the Mirror. Today I have author, speaker, husband, father, Mr. Eddie Thomason with me. Eddie, how are you, brother?
What up, Kyle? I'm excited, man. So excited for this episode. You know, I love what you do, love the platform that you have, and I'm excited to dive into this conversation.
Appreciate that, man. Well, let's just get going. Like, who are you? What are you about? What do you do? Like, give us the gist of who you are, what you're about.
Definitely. So basically, my name, like Kyle already said, my name is Eddie Thomason. I am a inspirational speaker in the youth and college university markets. I just got a passion, man. I'm on a mission to help kids shed self-limiting beliefs so they can pursue a life that they're passionate about living. And I just love to do that, man. I feel as though everybody in life are born with the seeds of greatness already inside of them. And it's up to each individual to plant those seeds in an environment that will allow them to grow. So that's what I do in a snapshot. I know we're going to dive a whole lot into some of those different things. But yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I love what I do.
I love it. And I love, you and me had talked previously before this.
Yep.
And I love that just the energy that you have and the passion that you have, it's authentic. It comes from a place of of authenticity, and your story and kind of where you came from has inspired that and is now leading to inspiring others. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown of where you came from and kind of the story that you told me kind of came from, the struggle and made it out?
Definitely. So I was born and raised down in Baltimore, hence, you know, the old shirt, although they're not the best team right now, but born and raised down in Baltimore. And I basically grew up in a family that struggled with poverty for generations. I mean, my dad left when I was about 7 or 8 years old, which forced my mom to take care of me and my brother on a $13,000 a year disability income. So, you know, talk about living below the poverty line. Like we were definitely below it, trying to figure out some different things. And I'm thankful that my mom basically, you know, she made a lot of sacrifices. She talked all the time about robbing Peter to pay Paul and all these different things. But it was a lot of what she taught me to help me get to where I am today. But basically, long story short, when my dad left, I grew up passion for playing sports. So I wanted to play football. I thought I only had 3 options as a kid, right, to be successful, to create any type of success. And number 1 was to be a professional athlete. Number 2 was to be some type of professional entertainer, so a singer, dancer, rapper, you know, something from that perspective. Or number 3 was to sell drugs. I thought as a self-limiting belief, that was my primary one that I had as a kid. And I chose option 1, right? I was like, bro, I ain't got the skills to be dancing out there on stage. and I definitely don't want to be caught up. You know, I ain't the thug, bro. I ain't got the thug in my blood. So I was like, I'm going to pursue option 1. I'm going to be an athlete. But football became my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And thankfully, I was able to go to a school where, you know, I thought in my mind, I was like, bro, I got to go to the league, right? But in order to go to the league, I had to basically get a scholarship because at the time you had to go play in college before you got to play in the NFL. But however, I told you my mom was the brokest of the broke, right? So it was no way that she was going to be able to pay for me to go to college. So my dream became, how can I earn a scholarship to go to school? And, you know, obviously I went to a high school that it was never done before. I never had anybody go out and get a D1 scholarship to play ball at the next level. So I had teachers tell me that it's never been done before. I had teachers tell me that it's a pipe dream, focus more on your grades, right? I had one teacher actually tell me that I'm more likely to go to jail or die before I ever had the chance of accomplishing that goal, right? Which was crazy. Like, thinking back, statistically speaking, that is true. However, you don't say that to a kid, right?
No.
You don't say it to somebody with a dream. So that's what happened. And from my perspective, I'm one of those dudes, if you tell me I can't do something, it just gives me the reason to go prove you wrong anyway. So again, long story short, I became the first student in that high school's history, Chesapeake High School in Baltimore County, to ever earn a D1 scholarship coming out of there, right?
Let's go! Come on!
So that was win number 1, right? Win number 2 came because of that scholarship. I was able to become the first male in my family to earn a degree from a college or university, right? So my entire mindset is being able to break generational curses. My podcast show is actually launching this Friday, and it's called Curse Breaker Podcast. And the entire mindset, the brand behind it is, it doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter the family that you were born into, the environment that you grew up in. You can still create success. You can break curses because your family's past does not dictate your future, right? And that's when I started to basically accept for myself and understand for myself is that it doesn't matter, you know, the ceiling that my parents feel as though they have. It became my floor, and I have to always do better, right? I have to continue to grow better. And that's what it has became for me now being a dad as well. It's like, how can I keep putting my ceiling higher so that that way my kids can have a solid floor, a higher floor to walk from.
I love that, man. And that is such an inspiring story, man. So I would tell you should write a book about it, but you have already written a book.
Right.
And it's a very interesting story from what I know, because this book was not written in the normal time frame that an author would write a normal book. Talk about how you wrote a book in a few short months. Please tell us about this.
Absolutely. So the name of the book in question is Unlock Yourself, How to Earn the Success You Were Born to Create. And it's a great story, man. I actually got connected to a guy here locally in the Binghamton area where I stay right now. And his name is Roger Brooks. And one of his passions in life is helping people basically get the book out of them, right? He feels as though everybody in life has a book to be written. You just have to get it out of you, right? And I ended up meeting up with him, I think it was in November of last year. And he told me about, we were just kind of chatting up, meeting for the first time. And he was like, man, I love the same thing you said. He's like, I love your energy, love your passion. You should write a book. And I was like, Roger, I'm actually, I'm thinking about writing a book. I wanted to go hand in hand with my speaking business because I can't impact everybody in the 45 minutes that I have a lot of time, but want to have something to leave behind. And he was like, well, I'm actually launching a course that says write a bestseller in the next 90 days, right? And the course is launching January 12th. So I was like, wow, okay. I'm a big.
And this date was what? What date was this?
This was, I forget, it's November something, 2019.
So end of 2019, this guy says beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. We're going to, basically get inside of this course to write this book, right? And I was like, okay. I hear what you're saying. So then now I'm a big faith guy, right? So I was like, the points of light are starting to come together. Like I had this thought, I put it out into the world. Now God is kind of bringing people in my direction to say, like, hey, this is happening. Get ready, right? Like you talked about it. Now it's time to actually follow through on it, right?
Right.
So the whole thought process of this course was to basically write your rough draft within 90 days, right? Write the full rough draft within 90 days. But granted the time that I was in, right? So I love to give people a little bit of context before I give them the content. I already had my first son was born. His birthday was coming up on March 1st that year. So he was born March 1st. And my second son's due date was March 31st. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be finishing up the rough draft and then dealing with the newborn and like figuring out all this stuff at that point in time. I felt like we had a pretty good structure with the first son. So at this point, I'm going to write it all and basically change this thought process of I need to have it written in 90 days. I was like, I'm going to launch it in 90 days. So I basically wrote, which is wild. It's crazy to think about.
That is
right?
ambitious beyond belief. But I love it.
Here's the cool thing, though, because I got to give credit where it's due. It was one dude who was actually a college student. I think he was a junior or something who was also in that course, right? And that dude actually finished his book before I did.
Really?
It was
we got to find this
AI.
guy.
Yes, I could definitely introduce you to him because he was.
Let's go. I would love to talk to him. And I want to talk about AI. That's amazing.
Yes.
So, but you guys are cruising through that process. And so you basically took this guy's outline. It says we're going to write a book in X amount of time or write a draft and get it going. And you said, no, I'm going to do that and complete it and launch the book and sell it because I have a son on the way and I don't got time for – I don't have time for your short course. I'm going to make it the shortest course.
Right.
Basically.
Exactly. Exactly. It was all about, for me, to be honest with you, Kyle, I'm all about creating goals with deadlines, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people create these goals. They got things that they want to do. Like, every single year we all have the goal like, oh, I'm gonna get in better shape, right? However, nobody ever puts a date on it. Like, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by this date. Because when you put a date on it, it becomes real, right?
Yeah.
Like it forces you to take the necessary action to get there. And that's what it became to me. I was like, all right, if I want this book to be done, right? And I want the groundswell to start happening around the brand and the idea of becoming this knowledgeable celebrity and everything else, then I need to have this book written and launched by April, right? Because again, the time frame, my wife was going to finish up school. She's a teacher. So she was finishing up school in June. So I was like, if I launch in April, go on like this media tour and everything else and be done by June, then I can start having all these different podcasts and news media and everything else by July, which means then I can start having everybody start to hire me to speak in schools and things come next school year. That was kind of the if you want a game plan, that was a game plan that was inside of my head. And the cool thing is it's all starting to come together, right? Because that was the process that I had in my head. Like, all right, do all this stuff ahead of time and put it on a short time frame, because the goal is like, all right, my wife has to come home full time. I don't want to have to go to work for somebody else, right? While she has her own kids. And that's her decision, not mine. That's what she wanted to do. I'm not that guy that's like, you stay home, right? That's not my MO.
I'm the boss. I'll tell you what you do. Good for you. You have a good marriage, it sounds like.
Absolutely. So that was the whole thought process behind it. But yeah, goals with the deadline is huge. You have to have a deadline on it, because if not, it's very unlikely that you're ever going to accomplish the goal, because you didn't give yourself a time frame to get it done.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that it's unfortunate, but we need people like you to remind us of the truth and to remind us of things like that are tactics that will benefit us in life. Because I think everybody has goals and everybody has dreams. And I love that. That's amazing. But to your point, if you don't actually put a date on a goal or a dream, it can be stretched out forever and ever, and maybe never tackled in the way that it needs to be. So there has to be action. And as my dad used to say, you got to have a plan, but you also have to work the plan. A lot of people have plans, but they struggle to execute on that. But talk a little bit about how the process of that was. You had a kid, you had a wife, you had a job, and you were writing, launching, etc., a book in the midst of all that. What was the process like on a day-to-day? How'd that work? How'd you make it happen?
That's a great question. And the answer is time management, man. Like how many times have you had an interview or somebody where you talk to somebody and it's all about time management? Like we all have 24 hours in a day, right? The only reason why other people achieve more is because they're so much more intentional with their time. I tell people all the time, like, most of us, we think in like hours. Like, how many people have you reached out to and say, hey man, you want to do something tonight? And they're like, oh, I got this event at 7:00. So therefore my whole night is shot. It's like, bro, that event is probably going to be 30 minutes, an hour, maybe. And you're telling me you have no other time to do anything else in that night? Like you tripping, bro. Like you got some time priority problems, right? Where I think of things in like 5 to 15 minute increments. Like if I can fit a conversation in 5 to 15 minutes, then I'm going to fit that inside of there, because it's an action that needs to be taken in order to get to the goal that I'm headed towards, right? So my structure was pretty basic. I mean, like I tell people, I'm a boring dude, really. Like I love the energy and everything else, but as far as my daily schedule, it's pretty boring. I wake up, I spend some time with God, because I told you I'm a big faith guy. So I wake up, spend time with God, say some prayers and everything else to get my day started right. Then from there, I typically try to read at least a half a chapter to a chapter of a Success Principles book, right? And then I basically go ahead and start my day. So like my 9 to 5 or whatever else, I start to look at my calendar, what I have on a day, how would I structure and all this other stuff. And then I start planning out what that looks like. So obviously I got a 9 to 5. It's a job blocked out in my calendar. After 9 to 5, from 5 to about 8:30, I basically spend time with my family, because family is most important to me. So I literally put them inside the calendar. And from 5 to 8:30, I'm basically we're going on walks, we're doing road trips, whatever we need to do to basically spend time and connect as a family. We eat dinner together. I typically put the oldest one to bed. And then when 8:30 hits, I'm basically doing all this stuff, right? So when I was writing the book, 8:30 hit, and I would basically be doing all the typing, right? I was averaging between 5 to 7 pages a day when I was writing the book itself. Now it's finding time to do interviews, finding time to do different, collaboration calls to see if it makes sense for me to interview. Because that's another thing. You got to be selective with your time. You got some people that just accept meetings just to accept meetings and say that they're busy. Where I don't want to just meet to meet. I want to meet because I know there's a mutually beneficial, thing happening there, right? Which is why I love that we connected before this interview too. So those are the things I basically organize my calendar, and I'm very intentional with my time to make sure that everything else around me is running smoothly.
I love it, man. I think I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's interesting that you said this. They said that there are certain habits that all millionaires have, and all successful people have, and it's not about the financial thing; it's about the success. And one of them was that all of them read books. They all read books, and you mentioned that you try to read a certain amount of a book every single day.
Yep.
I do the same thing. And they were saying that routines are created. Successful people create routines that they are then able to, repeat day after day. And then they add in certain things. Time management was one of them. So everything you just said, I just heard on a podcast about successful people.
Right.
So you obviously have built the foundation and are doing the things that lead to a successful life.
Amen. Success leaves clues, man.
Right. That's so true, brother. And something that I thought that was interesting that you said last time was talking about your relationship with your wife, because most people have a significant other, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife. They are not just isolated living life in their own. And if you are, God bless you, you need to get in some community.
Right.
We can't live in isolation. That's not how God designed us.
Exactly.
But you said something and I thought it was amazing. And I've literally been thinking about it ever since, because I'm single looking for a wife. You said that you two don't build separate buildings, basically. You aren't over here building the book and building this brand over here. And she's not over here building her own thing. You guys are mutually building something together that you will eventually leave to your children, that you have put in together. And you talked about how that keeps you guys in alignment.
Yes.
Speak a little bit about where did you get the mindset to even think to build something together? Because most of us, the boyfriend or the husband builds one thing, the girlfriend or the wife builds another, and then we come home at 5 and we kind of figure out, hey, let me dump on you what happened, and let me dump on you what happened. Talk about your what you were saying as far as that goes.
Right. So from my perspective, man, thankfully, when I was 22 years old, I got connected to a team. Well, first I was connected to a man. His name is Evan Grubb, and he lives here locally in the Binghamton area as well. And I just saw the lifestyle that he has created with his wife, right? Like, he's a successful business owner. He owns a traditional business, but he also has a really, really profitable network marketing business as well. And that's what him and his wife actually built together. And when I met him, I was like, man, like, it was the first time I met a man that had positive examples for me to follow. Because up until that point in my life, all of my decisions were based off of doing the opposite of what the men in my life were doing at the time, right? So it was the first time I met somebody, I was like, wow, okay, he actually has fruit on the tree. Like, he has 2 successful businesses. He has a successful marriage. He has peace in his home, which to me signifies he has amazing relationships with his kids, right? And as a dad. So I was like, okay, what have you done and how have you structured your life to do this? And as I started to study him and have conversations with him, and at the time I was single too. I didn't have a girlfriend yet, right? But I always knew, like, okay, if that's how you did it, I want my life to be like this. I wanted to be set up like this, to where as though me and my wife have common ground to build on, right? Because like you were just talking about, I feel as though a lot of people, I feel like, they think about their relationships, their marriages and everything else, and it's very surface level, right? Like, how well do you really know your significant other, right? Because a lot of the times you're just coexisting together inside of a house, right? You come home, you basically, you're, like you just said, you're dumping on each other. Hey, here's what happened at work, and this sucked, and this thing, blah, 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 blah. And then basically you wake up the next day, you go in 2 opposite directions for 8 hours a day, and you come back and coexist all over again, right? Whereas though me and my wife have basically put together is like, we're not going to do that. Like, what can we do together that allows us to be lockstep and pursue something together, right? So then that way, when we come home from those 8-hour days, 5 o'clock hits, then now we start focusing on what can we do to grow our business together. So like, all the crap that happened at school with Jimmy John and everybody else, and all the stuff that happened as far as sales meetings and me getting chewed out, like, none of that matters, right? Because what we're focusing on is a legacy for what we're going to leave for our kids. And here's a big thing that Evan told me that I want to share with everybody else. He said, if you can spend 8 hours of your day building somebody else's dream, then why can't you spend the next 4, 5, 6 hours building yours? You don't get wealthy working for wealthy people. You have to first develop something of your own in order to create some type of wealth to leave behind. So that became what me and my wife have like just obsessed over. And we started building businesses together, and we have 2 of them together now. That's just huge for us, right? Because we also want to be the example for our kids as they get older. Like, this is what pursuing your dreams looks like. This is what action looks like, and the things that you want to accomplish and what you need to do. We're all about being leaders, right? And leadership is spelled EXAMPLE. So you have to exemplify what that looks like. in order for them to create the success that you want them to create. Well done is always better than well said.
Ooh, there were some gems in there. My goodness. I love what you said, bro. Leadership is EXAMLP. Example.
Yeah.
I try to spell that out. Man, I can't drop it like you. I can't drop the gems like you. But that's amazing, bro. And that's something that my hat is off to you, because a lot of people never catch that in life. A lot of people want to be leaders. They want to be managers, right? They want to be in positions of authority, but they never learn the humility of being an example and servant leadership, which is being an example, serving the people that you lead, leading by example. I also thought it was interesting that there were you basically said two things in there that reverted back to not just setting an example as a leader, but you were looking to an example in the man that helped you become successful, or that you looked to and said, I want to model my life after that guy. Right. I think that's an extremely important thing for anybody watching or listening, is that if you want the life that someone else has, or if you see success and you want that, you need to find an example of that, and a model of that you can then ask questions or just watch and follow. To try to figure it out on your own is A, going to take you a lot longer, and B, I think just completely ignorant to the fact that we all have something to offer. And if someone else has something that you want, let them teach you, right? And then you said that you want to be that for your kids. That man was that to you, and you now want to be that to your kids. So I think it's amazing that you took from someone else some amazing things, built something, and then your kids are going to be able to do the same thing with you as the person they look to. They won't have to go find that out in the world, you know?
Exactly. Amen. I believe, Kyle, I'm glad that you brought that up, bro, because I believe, like, when you think mentorship, right? I believe in mentorship 100%. I hate the phrase self-made. And I can say that confidently, because I was one of those kids who said that dumb statement, right? When I was young and immature and thought that I was the king of the world, right? Oh, I'm self-made, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, bro, I was not self-made. There were so many people in my life, whether they influenced me negatively or positively, that helped me make the decisions that I made in my life, period. Right. However, mentorship, true mentorship, is learning from somebody who's in a standpoint of life of where you want to be. And they can show you how to get there, right? And they're willing to show you how to get there. So for me, having that man in my life, having Evan in my life, and having him be able to shed some of that insight and the wisdom, the knowledge that he had, it was just like, bro, like, this is huge, right? Because again, I was that dude that thought I can do it all on my own. I didn't need nobody else's help. I didn't need this. But then I started learning the value of, like, benchmarks, right? Like, finding out people who have what you want, and then going and seeking information from them, seeking knowledge from them, because it's only going to expedite your success and when you can create that success, right? So if you want to take forever to create success, go ahead out there, bro. Make all the same mistakes, do all the dumb stuff, and it'll take you 30, 40 years to become successful. But if you want to gain success quicker, I'm not saying fast, because there's no such thing as get rich quick, right? But if you want to, like, actually expedite your speed in which you can create success in your life, find somebody who is successful in the arena that you're looking to create success in, and ask that person questions, man. Like, put your ego aside. Stop thinking like you need to know everything, right? You don't know everything. I don't know everything. I learn stuff new every single day, right?
100%.
Whereas though, that's what people need to do, is put that ego aside, start asking questions, understand that somebody is always going to be out there smarter than you, especially in different areas that you're pursuing, right? Ask them questions so that you can also benefit from that relationship, that conversation, and then you'll be able to be a blessing to those around you as well, right? And put your ego aside for those around you, for your family, for the people that you're taking care of, the people that you've been blessed to lead already, right? You have to put your ego aside so that you can be more of a blessing to them and add more value to them.
I love it. And bro, I think that's a very important success point, is that your success is not all about you.
Right.
And I think we forget that a lot in America. Not everybody, but our culture forgets that this is not a I'm going to go win and then hoard everything for myself. Ask truly successful people. A lot of them have done it on their own, and they will tell you it was not the right way.
Right.
And then the people that have done it the correct way and made sure it wasn't about them will tell you that is the correct way.
Right.
So either way people have built success, they will all tell you it's not all about you. Success is about bringing people with you. I read a book by he used to be the leader of Yum Corporation that owns Taco Bell, KFC. I used to work for the corporation, and the book was called Taking People With You. And it was about the idea of your success is not all about you, and your success will not be maximized by yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. 100%. You need people to succeed. And plain and simple. I'm gonna say that again because that's the simplicity of everything. You need people to succeed. Period. You can't get anywhere on your own. I love it. It's I think it's an African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. Right? If you want something that's going to be sustained long after you're gone, if you're leaving a legacy behind, you're going to have to bring people along, right? That's an image that I love to think about, right? Because most of the time when we think about corporate America and how it's structured and everything else, typically you have like a CEO at the top of this pyramid, right? And then you go down into the C-suite of like their advisors, the presidents and everything else, and it kind of goes down to middle managers and everything else, right? A powerful way to learn about what leadership looks like is if you flip that thing around. Put the CEO at the bottom, and everything that's built upon that is depending on how strong this person is at the bottom. That's gonna really uplift all these other people. How well are you at encouraging these people to go be great, step into their own greatness, giving them the autonomy to go do what they are meant to do, right? Instead of micromanage them and telling them that they can't do stuff. Flip that whole thing around, because if you put yourself at the bottom now and you look at it as like everybody's on your shoulders and what you need to do, instead of people like you're standing on them or standing over top of them, it gives you the proper perspective to be that servant leader, right? Because when people start messing up here, it makes it harder for you. Your legs start to grow weary and stuff at the bottom, right? But if you teach and encourage and have these programs infested inside of your individual organization that allows these people to step into their own graces and be all that they're meant to be, then your life is going to be so much more easier, right?
100%. 100%. And I think just from a tactical business perspective, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They were having some issues with their leader because the leader didn't want them to approach them in a certain way with a complaint. And I said, I believe this 100%. When you own any business or any organization, if you run an organization and you are a leader, if you don't put your people first, you do yourself a huge disservice, just from a business perspective. Because if you love and empower and invest in your people, they will take care of your clients or whoever your customers are, because they love you and they care about you, the person that's carrying them, right? You carry your people, they will carry you. Like, to your point, that proverb is amazing. I'm going to clip that. I really am. That's amazing. Well, your journey is based on the people that you are with and around. It's very simple. Talk about, so you are not done writing books. Am I correct?
No, absolutely not. It's funny because as I've been doing different interviews, I feel like I've been getting ideas for books left and right. However, the next one on the docket is actually it's one that I'm excited about. I mean, I'm excited about every single one of them, but the next one on the docket is going to be called Generational Curse Breaker. And it's the faith-based side to all the curses that I had to break for my own individual family, right? Because I've learned what you don't overcome inside of your own life, you pass it on to your kids, and it forces them to have to overcome it. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I overcame everything, right? There's still some curses that was passed down to me that I'm still fighting through right now. However, the curse of poverty, broken. The curse of infidelity, broken. Right? The curse of pornography, broken. Like all these different things that have been passed down in my family's generation. Alcoholism, broken. Drug abuse, broken. Like all those, that's not me, right? I've separated myself from that thought process of like, oh, it comes from a long line of like, oh, it runs in the family, it runs in the family. Well, you know what I decided to say, Kyle? I say it ran in the family until it ran into me. Period.
Ooh. I love that.
Right? Because now I'm not forced to say like my actions have to mimic what my family has did. And the faith behind it, obviously God has brought me a long way, right? So for me, the book is going to have more of that faith-based background. It's going to have more scripture inside of it, talking about how I leaned on some scriptures to help me get out of these different holes and black spots inside of my life, to break curses and now set my family up to be proud of the last name instead of just forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Man, you're an incredibly inspiring dude. I just want to tell you that. You really are, man.
Appreciate that, Kyle.
100%. And I hope that anybody listening or watching, we'll put some links below to come find you and on all your social platforms and all that. Mm-hmm. I know that obviously you're a very inspirational guy, as I just said. I just wanted to let you know that. But
appreciate it. It's humbling.
As far as inspiring and empowering the next generation, young people, I know you said you have a heart for. What are some specific things in this time? Let's be real. The world is very crazy right now, right? Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and you may have a goal and even a date on that goal, and that may have got thrown around and mixed up and moved. What are some practical things that you would tell young people right now that have been shaken up by this crazy time and maybe thrown into some anxiety and thrown off their course? What are some things that you would tell those people that are kind of shaken up by the world right now?
Definitely. I would always, it's great that you say that and you ask that question, because it's important. People need direction. They need some guidance right now, right? And I actually just did a YouTube video. I think it launched last week. I think it was, but I talked about the best investment. It's always the best time to invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people right now that are thinking like, what am I supposed to do? I have no idea what my next step is or what my best next step is. And my answer is always invest in yourself, right? And there's two primary ways I'm going to tell people right now. In the book, you can look through the whole 9-structure system of how you do that. But however, I'm going to give people 2 ways right now. Number one is reading. Lose this mentality of I don't read, right? Because what you don't know, you don't know, right? And the only way you figure out what you don't know is by exposing yourselves to things that you don't know. Which is
as simple as that sounds.
Exactly. But you need to start picking up books, right? The reason why I thought I only had 3 options in life when I was a kid is because that's all I saw around me, right? I was never exposed to other people who looked like me who were successful in other areas of life, right? I only saw Black athletes. I saw Black singers, entertainers, comedians, actors, things like that. And I saw Black drug dealers. That was the only thing that I saw when I was growing up, right? Outside of like, the common blue collar jobs, right? Like obviously those are always there, but I didn't want to work 120 hours a week, right? Just to make ends meet. Like that was, I never had that mentality of like, just work harder and that's going to solve everything, right? You got to work smarter in order to work.
100%.
So read books, figure out some of the things that you're interested in pursuing, because when you start pursuing something, that's when you find passion. Passion is always in the pursuit. You don't wake up passionate about something. But once you start realizing like it's an option for you or it's an opportunity, you can start figuring out more about it. And as you start to figure out more about it, you start to invest in your own mind. Like, okay, this is actually what I want to pursue. And then the passion comes from that, right? Because now you start getting excited about it and what you can accomplish around it. So reading books is huge, okay? I tell people all the time, if you want to break it down in all simplicity, it typically takes you 15 minutes on average, right? Obviously, everybody's different, but it takes you 15 minutes on average to read a chapter. The average personal growth book is, I think it's 12 to 15 chapters long, right? So if you can take 12 to 15 minutes to read a chapter a day, you're going to read between 2 and 2.5 books a month, right? If you do that for a year, you read between 24 to 36 books a year.
That is some simple math that really plays out well. I've never done the math, but yeah, that's good. I'm glad you said that, because that makes it more of an attainable goal. Because if you tell somebody read 36 books a year, they're going to go, what?
Right,
well, I barely read 3 books a year. But if you say, hey, it takes you 15 minutes, that makes it way more practical.
Right. The average person reads 0.78 books a year.
Really?
Yes. Average person reads so they pick up a book and don't even finish it.
One.
Exactly. So if you finish one book, you already put yourself in a different bracket than somebody else that's trying to create
above
average. So reading is huge. Reading is important, right? Like you mentioned before, you just listened to a podcast show where they talked about reading all the time. Reading is important, period, right? Don't be like me when I graduated college and said I'm never picking up a book again. Okay. That was the dumbest statement I could have ever made. Because now today I read books all the time. Exactly. I'm glad I didn't follow through on that commitment.
Me too. You went one further and said, I'm not only going to read books, I'm going to write books as well.
Right, exactly.
So, shame on your college self.
Exactly. So that's number one, right? Mm-hmm. So that's number one is actually reading books. Number two is search success stories. Mm-hmm. If you can find success stories in the arena that you're trying to play in, find those first. Like if you're wanting to be a professional athlete, like a lot of people are, obviously that's a talent that's associated with it. However, you can look up success stories of people that wasn't necessarily born with the talent, but it was worked upon, right? Like Jimmy Butler's story from the basketball player in the NBA. I think I don't even know if he was playing for the Bulls. I think now he might play for the Mavs, or I don't remember. But
go Mavs.
I think he's playing for the Mavs. I don't remember. With the NBA shut down, I kind of lost track of everything. Right. However, Jimmy Butler's story is phenomenal, right? Like he was not the best player all throughout high school, college, everything else, but he just kept working at it, and always kept the faith, right? Like he knew what he wanted to do, but he was like born in poverty, like worse than my individual circumstances that I already talked about. However, he came out successful on the other side. Like that is an inspiration story. Once you start hearing those, you start to realize like, okay, if that person had it that bad, then I can do it too, right? It's not impossible for me. Same thing in like, business successes. You look at Steve Jobs' story. You look at even Steve Harvey's story. Like Steve Harvey is always talking about his story and how he came from nothing. And he's got a meme out right now. It was like, I told the same $25 jokes when I was, in a comedy club. And then for those same jokes that I told back there, I got paid $58 million in one night when I did Kings of Comedy. And he was like,
I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, bro, that's ridiculous. But it's true. It's a testament to success. Success is just positive actions repeated over time. It's repetition.
Consistency.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, look at success stories. Find people who are successful in arenas that you're pursuing, and then go and watch or listen to those stories, because it's only going to make you believe more in yourself. You can start to accept that success in your own life because now you see it happen for somebody else. And don't take the victim mentality like, oh, that person's lucky, blah, blah, blah. That person's not lucky. Stop calling people lucky, right? Yep.
Right.
That person literally just made more positive decisions over a longer period of time than you did. It's not luck.
Right.
It's action.
Right.
Consistent
Let's
action.
not downplay people's hard work and call it luck because you haven't done the same hard work.
Exactly.
It's just a cop-out. It's an excuse. But you said it. It's a lot of it is just simple actions repeated over the course of long periods of time. Yep. Patience. What do you have to say about patience? Because you're a man of extreme action and you're going, I know you have a full schedule. I know you're doing 17 different things at once, but I know that you're also smart enough to understand the value of patience while executing consistently.
Yes.
Talk about that. How's patience played into all of your success?
So patience, it's funny that you say that because patience is the one area that I tell my wife all the time. I was like, just pray for more patience for me. Pray for more patience for me.
Don't we all need it? My goodness. Because some of us need a gallon bucket of it.
Oh my gosh. I need an ocean full of patience, bro. That's what I really need. So I say that because as you know, I'm an action taker, right?
Right.
I'm all about action, taking action. And for a while it was like, if I don't get the results, I get discouraged. But now, especially since my relationship with Christ has grown a whole lot more, I've understood that faith without works is dead. So I have to just I have to keep doing the work and having faith, right? And some people may be listening to this and they're like, all right, bro, I'm not a big Bible pumper or everything else. Well, listen, faith is not necessarily a spiritual term, right? Faith is literally just believing in things you cannot see. So when you sit in your chair and you believe it's going to hold you up instead of take you to the floor, you just executed faith, okay? So I want you guys to know that.
I love that.
So for me, my faith is like, okay, I know that God has plans for me. He has plans to prosper me and not to harm me, to give me hope in the future, right? So therefore, the action that I'm taking right now, it's all leading to that. But I can't keep on looking at God and be like, all right, God, where's my results? All right, God, where are my results? I just have to keep on doing and having the faith that it is going to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows the desires of my heart. Everything that we pray for is already going to come back as long as you pray it as if you believe it, right? If you believe it up here first, it's coming. You just have to keep on working in order to get there. So patience has been a thing for me because for the longest time, it was just like, if I do this, I want the results now. But obviously time has taught me that you don't get results immediately. It's not instant gratification, right?
Right.
It takes time. Everything worth having takes time. Therefore, be patient, keep working, stop checking for all the results, and just keep flat out doing what you need to do, because it's all going to get paid back to you, right? And the other biggest thing is I tell people to give. The more you give, the more you get. You can't outgive God, period.
He has more resources than you do. It's true. Amen to that.
Yes.
Amen to that. I think a lot of the times, again, back to that point too of success is not all about you, right?
Right.
That plays right into also when you are working for something and when you are seeing fruits of your labor and certain things like that, share that with the people around you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
When you give, again, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I know these are cliche, cheesy sayings, but I think we talked about this in our first conversation. Yep. The cliches are there for a reason because they ring true over and over and over again. Exactly. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Yep. And with kids and with the wife, when you give to them, I don't think your mindset is, I hope they really give me something back. No, you give because you love them and you love to give to them. It feels good.
Yes.
And the more people would practice giving to other people, doesn't have to be monetary, but give them a smile, give them a nice comment, give them a thank you at the grocery store, right? Those small things repeated over time make a big impact, right?
100%. I'm glad that you say that, because most people assume giving and I'm talking about money.
Right.
And it ain't got to do with your money, man. You can give positivity every single day. That's what I say all the time is what can you give as far as a positive action can you take every single day, right? Help one person every single day, whether it be, like you said, a compliment. I love to compliment people all the time because it's in today's world is one of the most awkward things for them. However, it's the funnest thing for me, right? And there's some people that you compliment and they look at you like, what the heck is your problem? Like you are a weirdo, sir. Right?
Don't talk to me.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But then there's also the people that you compliment, right? That are like, wow, thank you so much. Like I appreciate you saying that, right? But here's what I tell people all the time. You don't know what other people are going through. Right? You don't know what other people are going through. So your compliment to them may have just changed the way they value themselves, right? And that's important. If you make one person feel more valuable every single day, then you're doing your part in bringing that positivity into the world and bringing change into the world, right? Because it's a massive portion of just helping people differentiate between like no hope and some hope. Right. So I like to refer to myself all the time as a hope dealer. I like to go in and give people hope.
I love it, though. It's true because we live in a world where it is not given out frequently. People aren't walking down the street just being told, hey, you're worth something. You are good. You are a good person. I love you. I like the way you like these small things. We don't hear it because we're all so individualized. We've been taught to, don't talk to people you don't know. We've kind of been taught, stay focused.
Don't talk to strangers.
Right. I totally disagree.
Yes.
I think that's a very divisive mentality, right?
Yep,
I think
100%.
Back to your point is that all of us have the ability to encourage and help others. All of us. If you have a voice that you're able to use, you're able to encourage and help other people. And that's what I've seen in our two interactions already is that you have a passion to encourage and help other people. And you use the mediums of public speaking, building businesses, writing books. Those are your venues to encourage and help other people and give them hope.
Exactly. Yep.
On top of the daily things that you're doing just as you interact with people.
Right.
You are a good, I'm not going to spell it out. You're an amazing example of what we need to be to each other, to our families, and to ourselves. The way we treat ourselves is super important. And I don't think you would be capable of being where you're at and overcoming what you had if you hadn't seen value in yourself, right?
Amen. Amen.
And I think that's a testament to, again, you didn't create yourself. You don't take all the credit, but you do need to take some credit that you're an amazing testament to the power of believing in yourself and looking for something and then going after it. You're an incredible example of that.
I appreciate that, Kyle. That's, like I said, that's very humbling, man. And it's funny because as many compliments as I give out, I'm not the greatest at taking them. So me just saying thank you right now is a huge thing for me.
I mean it.
But I also say this because I can't again, I like to give credit where it's due, right? I don't know if we talked about this when we first had our conversation, but I give a lot of that to my mom as well. Because my mom, when I was a kid, I had all kinds of crazy dreams, right? Like I wanted to be in the NFL, but I remember it was a stint in my life where I wanted to be the next WWE champion of the world. It was a stint in my life where, I don't know, do you remember the movie Brink on Disney Channel?
I don't think so.
It was this movie about skaters, like rollerbladers, and like basically doing like BMX tricks and everything else, but like as skaters. And they had this phrase on there. They called it being a soul skater. And I remember looking at my niece and I was like, oh, we're going to be the next soul skaters. Like, we're going to be live. But it was like a stint, like probably 6 to 9 months. I was really determined to be the slow skater. And the cool thing is my mom, no matter what I was telling her I wanted to do, my mom always said, you can do and be anyone you want to be in this world. You can be anybody you want to be in this world. And that still rings true to me today. Because anytime I feel like I need to pivot, or anytime I feel like I have this opportunity come my way and I start to believe this self-doubt about myself, like I can't do that because I'm not that, it comes that phrase rings back. You can be with anything you want to be in this world, right? And it's powerful because it just keeps on coming back to me. And it's like, okay, maybe I don't know how to do that right now, but if I'm willing to learn it, I can do it, right? I can do it perfect, like not perfectly. I'm going to make mistakes and everything else. However, I can do it. And I think a lot of people need to hear that in today's world, especially our youth, especially our kids, is you can be whatever you want to be in this world. Just because and for both spectrums, right? Like if you're growing up in poverty and maybe your mom and dad, they're blue collar workers, right? You know, maybe one's just a waitress or something and the other one drives trucks, right? Well, just because that's what they did, it doesn't mean that's what you have to do, right? And the same thing on the other side. You got some kids that are forced to be like, oh, my whole family, they're all doctors, they're all lawyers, they're all higher educated people. And then they put this pressure on themselves that they have to go that route when that's really not them. You don't have to be that person, right? You don't have to follow that footstep. You can use the success principles and the clues that your parents have taught you, but apply it to what you want to pursue, right? So that like, those are the things. Like I feel like, you know, obviously I speak a lot to the minorities and people that are growing up in rough neighborhoods, but I also want to share that message with the higher educated people too, because they need to hear that too. Like you are valuable. Just because you're not a lawyer, it doesn't mean you're worthless, right? Like there's things that you can accomplish in your own life, and maybe, you know, debating in courtrooms was not your calling, and that's okay.
It doesn't sound that fun.
Exactly. It's not for me.
But no, I totally agree with you, man. I think that I have to give credit as well because I had amazing parents, and my mother specifically always encouraged anything I wanted to do, as long as it wasn't morally wrong.
Right, exactly.
Right? If I want to throw rocks through the window,
and it was legal.
Okay with that, and it was legal. But she always encouraged me in anything, whether it was music, sports, wanting to go ride bikes for a while. I had a stint where I want to be a bike racer. Again, 6 to 9 months. I was like, no, thank you. I don't know what I was thinking. But I think there's something powerful about the responsibility that that you have as a parent, and that I will have someday as a parent. When you have the responsibility to raise another person, that's a heavy burden. But I think the most simple thing you could do is just encourage them.
Yes.
If I'm not a parent, but I'm speaking from what I've been given and what you just touched on. Your mother gave you encouragement. Yes. She gave you what you needed to be able to go, I'm worth it. I can do it. Exactly. Even if it was kind of crazy and you wanted to be a speed skater and do BMX tricks on your rollerblades, she still gave you encouragement. Whether she thought that was the right thing or not, you know, she wanted you to know she believed in you. And I think even if it's not from a parent to a child, back to what we were saying, if you can encourage somebody and let them know, hey, you can do that. You can definitely do that. I see the doubt in you, but you can do it. Right. The world will look completely different if we have that attitude.
Because we'll have confident people, right? I think
100%.
a lot of success, I think that's another clue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Successful people are confident.
Mm-hmm.
Confident in who they are, confident in whose they are, confident in the ground in which they stand on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, they're able to lead people, because people typically don't question the confidence. They're just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that makes sense. Let me go in this direction, right?
Right.
And I think that's what it's funny because I feel like I'm having this epiphany right now because I'm thinking back to like that and my mom and everything else as I was growing up, and what it really did. We talk about it saying it's encouragement, and it is, but I think the encouragement led to my confidence. It led to my confidence in myself and my confidence in saying I can do right, and losing this mentality of I can accomplish something and playing that victim card, like, oh, I can't do that because I'm poor. Or I can't do that because I don't have the talent. Or I can't do that because insert blank, right? Instead of saying that, I always said, how can I? How can I go to the NFL? How can I? And you start to figure out all these different pieces so that it gets you to where you want to go. And it creates a confidence for me. It still to this day, like my wife, it drives my wife crazy at some points, but she also loves the quality in itself. And I say this because she's told it to me. Not because I'm making it up for her, but sometimes my confidence, it's frustrating to her because it's like I just have this confidence of like whatever you throw at me. I've never done it before, but I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out, right? So it's frustrating to her because it's like sometimes it's like, what are you talking about? Like you've never even done that before. But however, she loves it from the fact of like I know you will figure it out. Like if you're dedicating yourself to it or you committed to it, then you will figure it out. And I think that's what confidence is, right? Like you don't know how to do everything. And I embrace the fact that like anytime I do something for the first time, I'm going to suck at it. However, I will get better, right? That's the confidence that I feel like I have all the time. So I think
there's something to be said for that. And that's, I think you're absolutely correct. Once you're, as we even said from the beginning, once your mindset is correct, once you have a correct mindset, whether it's confidence, there's a lot that goes into mindset. But when you have a mindset that is based on truth, right? If someone else has done it, it is a fact that I can also do it, right? It is true that if someone has done this, that means there's an opportunity that I can do this, right? Exactly. Once you fix your mindset, the world changes. The way you behave changes, right? And so I think what you're doing is extremely important, not just for you, not just for your wife, for your family, but in everybody you impact, because what you're doing with the book, with speaking, with doing these podcasts, is you're helping people change their mindset, which in turn will help them change their entire life.
Exactly.
Right? What you're doing is so impactful, because the end of it, when this all plays out, when we're long gone and it all plays out, what will be left is points and tactics and strategies for people after we're long gone that can use to change their mindset to then chase their dreams and live a fulfilling life. Amen. When this is all over, what you really leave behind is encouragement and hope for other people. Amen. Which is what you didn't have necessarily. You started a little bit back in the race, right? The odds were against you, but your life has proven that doesn't have to define you. And I think that's super inspiring, man. Amen. Super inspiring.
100%. I love that.
Do you have any last, we could go for days, so we have to put a limit on this. You and I, man, I love your energy. And I think that if we kept talking, people might stop listening because they might fall asleep, or they might just run out of water, or they have to rehydrate and eat.
Right.
But I want to give you the floor, man. Any last things you want to say? Any updates that we can look forward to from you? Future plans and maybe some encouragement if you have some.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna say two things, because I want to promote an event that's actually coming up that anybody can be a part of, or any students can be a part of, and then I'm gonna wrap up with this thought that it just came to me and I want to share it with everybody else. But number one, I'm doing a virtual youth summit that's going to be on September 26th. So that's for anybody between the ages of about 13 to 25, actually. And what we're going to do is have this virtual summit. It's going to be about an hour and a half long. It's teaching like how we're going to empower kids, how you're going to establish goals, what you need to do with your life, things like that. And I'm excited about it, because I'm partnering with Speaking Grace in order to get it all together and everything else, which is a company and a woman that runs it out of Ohio, out of Dayton, Ohio. So I'm excited to kind of pull these different people together across the country and do an amazing event that's going to be impactful. And it's free for kids. So
awesome.
Kids can come in for free. So that's huge. That's one thing I definitely want to talk about.
So we'll get the link to that, and I'll put the link in the show notes so that people can go check that out.
Perfect. I'll definitely get that over to you so we can. And then here's the other thing, and just a piece of nuggets, right? So that people can have. The book that I wrote, when you look at the subtitle, How to Earn the Success You Were Born to Create. I have a fundamental core belief that we are all born with the seeds of greatness inside of us, right? And I stand on another scripture I come back to all the time that says we are more than conquerors. So that means the battle already ends with you winning. So whatever you have as a dream, a goal, something that's inside of your life, know that it ends with you winning. When you first start, it won't look that way. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. But everything you want in life is on the outside of your comfort zone. So you have to get outside your comfort zone. You're going to have to get uncomfortable, but have that faith in the back of your head. Actually, the truth that's in the back of your head that you're more than a conqueror and the battle ends with you winning. There is no testimony without a test. You have to go through all the tests before you get to the testimony, right? And that's what I want people to understand. Like the journey is not going to be easy. However, the more that you lean into it instead of running from it, the more value and reward you're going to get on the other end. Okay. So you're more than a conqueror. You're meant to have an abundance in life, right? He came so that we may have life, but also to have it more abundantly. We're not supposed to be living off of leftovers. We are given everything. Everything is already ours. So therefore, act like it. Stop playing this victim card and thinking like you can't accomplish something or you can't do this. Start acting like who you really are and start accepting the value and the truth and the wisdom and everything that you're meant to have so that you can step into the greatness that you were born to create.
That's powerful, man. That's super powerful. Man, I had about five to six goosebump moments in this conversation, and that was one of them. That's amazing, man. I'm not going to say anything other than thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you sharing your time, sharing your wisdom with us. We'll link up after this, but just thank you, man. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being who you are, because being who you are is what's going to change the world, man. If we're all called to be somebody. And to your point, if you can remind yourself of the truth that you've already won and you deserve all that you were going to work for, man.
Amen.
That's amazing.
Thank you for having me, Kyle. I tell people all the time, man, I don't take your stage lightly, right? Anybody who wants me to come on and have a conversation with their audience, it's a humbling feeling. I never take it lightly. I never put myself on a pedestal. And that's what I want everybody that's listening to this right now. Don't put me on a pedestal. Don't compare your page 1 to my page 100. I started out in a very normal place, just like you did. I'm a regular guy. I still got issues. I still got problems. I still have life that happens. So if you need to reach out, you need to have a conversation. Don't put me on a pedestal and think you can't talk to me. You'll find out that I'm a very humble and just willing to help if I can. And if I can't, I got an amazing network of people like Kyle that we're talking right now who would more than be willing to help you guys. So reach out if you can, and I'm more than willing to help.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, thanks again for what you're doing. Thank you to everybody that's listening and watching. If you need anything, as Eddie said, find us on social media, reach out. No one is above helping you. You are worthy. You are worth it. We love you. Eddie, thanks for being on, brother. Until we all meet again, it's been another episode of Inside the Mirror. Take care, my friend.
Perfect.